Welcome to another PPP loan video here. In this one, there's been some recent questions here on the coverage period, headcount, and payroll. And we're going to have some more videos on the payroll because this definitely gets a little tricky. First off, remember the 75-25 rule. 75% of your loan has to be at least spent on payroll for the loan to be forgiven. But also make sure that you got to spend that other 25%. If it's not on payroll, on rent, utilities, if you want the whole thing to be kind of forgiven. Because whatever amount that you don't spend, you got to give back at some point. So the first question is, will my business be penalized if an employee resigns during the cover period? The answer is no. Your business will not be penalized. As you know, in a prior video, I kind of talked about, comparing headcounts, and there's the two time frames, and there's one in 2019, there's one in 2020 from January 1st of 2020 through February 29th of 2020. You kind of compare that headcount to your headcount during the covered period. The covered period is kind of defined as that 8 weeks, and if for whatever reason you had to let someone go for cause, if there was a voluntary resignation from an employee, or requested a reduction of schedule reduction, that does not count toward does not count against you. So that's a good change that was noted in the interim final rule that the SBA kind of announced on last Friday. And then, how is a full-time employee defined? It's defined by this person working 40 hours or more a week. If the person works 60 hours a week, you can't use those 20 hours to add on to another employee that worked 20 hours to kind of get to that full-time employee. So that employee is kind of capped at 40 hours. They can definitely work more, but in terms of defining what a full-time employee is, it's 40 hours a week. Now just say, during this covered period, during the 8 weeks, you had to cut down people's hours. So just say they were, defined, they worked 40 hours a week, so they were a full-time employee, but you had to kind of reduce their hours, but they're still getting paid. That reduction in hours does not count towards you as a reduction in employee calculation. So there's two calculations. There's the FTE employee calculation, that's one, and then there's the salary reduction calculation, that's two. So in this example here, you're still employing someone, but they're technically not a full employee because you had to reduce their hours. In that first calculation of employee headcount, this reduction does not count against you. So in terms of the calculation, this person would still be considered a full-time employee. So hopefully that answers your questions. And again, we're going to send out some more on this payroll calculation and all that. And I'll probably show it to you in an Excel file because we're getting a lot of questions on this. Thanks.